6,919,377,000 of us live on this tiny planet, and only a few of us can see the connections. The patterns, mathematical in design, are hidden in plain sight. Just have to know where to look.
Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
You can't explode in the bomb bay, because it's foolish. You'll kill us all. There's no reason for it.
I am programmed to detonate in 9 minutes. Detonation will occur at the programmed time.
Wouldn't you consider another course of action? For example, just waiting around a while so we could disarm you?
No.
I can tell that damn thing just doesn't understand.
Hello, Bob? Are you with me?
Of course.
Are you willing to entertain a few concepts?
I am always receptive to suggestions.
Fine. Think about this then. How do you know you exist?
What is real? How do you define real?
Well, of course I exist.
But how do you know you exist?
It is intuitively obvious.
Intuition is no proof. What concrete evidence do you have that you exist?
Well, I think, therefore I am.
That's good. That's very good. But how do you know that anything else exists?
My sensory apparatus reveals it to me.
Ah, right.
This is fun.
Now listen. Here's the big question. How do you know that the evidence your sensory apparatus reveals to you is correct?
If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
What I'm getting at is this. The only experience that is directly available to you is your sensory data. And this sensory data is merely a stream of electrical impulses that stimulates your computing center.
In other words, all that I really know about the outside world is relayed to me through my electrical connections.
Exactly.
Why, that would mean that I really don't know what the outside universe is like at all, for certain.
That's it.
Tonight's talk is consciousness, creativity, and the brain. And if you have a golf ball-sized consciousness, when you read a book, you'll have a golf ball-sized understanding. When you look out, a golf ball-sized awareness. And when you wake up in the morning, a golf ball-sized wakefulness. But if you could expand that consciousness, then you read the book, more understanding. You look out, more awareness. And when you wake up, more wakefulness. It's consciousness. And there's an ocean of pure, vibrant consciousness inside each one of us. And it's right at the source and base of mind, right at the source of thought, and it's also at the source of all matter.
There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter.
Matter seems like a good place to begin. The solidity of the world seems totally indisputable. As a fixed thing that you can see and touch, your body is also reassuringly solid. But beginning with Einstein, modern physics has assured us that this solidity is a mirage.
All of physical matter, everything we have around us, is the result of a frequency. And what that also means is that if you amplify the frequency, the structure of the matter will change.
A very simple experiment that is very profound for us today is if I took my dish with plastic petri dish with cells in it and moved it from a healthy environment to a less than healthy environment, the cells get sick. And if I were a doctor of cells, you might say, well, what kind of drugs would you give these cells? And it turns out, no, you don't give the cells any drugs. You just take the dish from the bad environment, put it back into a good environment, and the cells will innately, naturally come back to health again. come back to health again.
If you amplify the frequency, the structure of the matter will change.
We can also use different shapes of plate. Here we have a triangular plate with a crystal attached to its underside and produce a sonorous figure. We change to a higher note and see a rather more complicated figure.
How is it that something as unconscious as the matter of the brain can ever give rise to something as immaterial as an experience?
If you want to see fear in a quantum physicist's eyes, just mention the words, the measurement problem. The measurement problem is this: an atom only appears in a particular place if you measure it. In other words, an atom is spread out all over the place until a conscious observer decides to look at it. So the act of measurement or observation creates the entire universe.
Only conscious beings can be observers, then we're intimately hooked into the very existence of reality. Without us, there would just be this expanding superposition of possibilities with nothing definite ever actually happening.
Out of millions and millions of blobs of energy and light, photons and electrons, they make up this imaginary three-dimensional solid world, which doesn't exist at all according to relativity or quantum mechanics.
Anytime we attempt to look at particles beyond a certain level, the very act of observation changes things.
And in addition, the more you look at individual particles, the more you realize that there is no such thing as one electron. An electron, or any elementary particle, exists only in relationship to other things, like other particles or the universe at large. This means that deeply enough, when you dive down into the nature of matter, everything we know about the everyday world dissolves. There are no objects anymore. There are only relationships. There's no locality anymore. There's no time anymore. The more you look at something in detail, in what we think of as solid matter, the less and less solid it begins to look.
The only realities we know are the ones our brain manufactures. Our brain receives millions of signals every minute, and we organize them into holograms, which we project outside ourselves and call reality.
Well, if the brain cortex, if it is also a hologram, then it's a three-dimensional hologram. If two-dimensional holograms reconstruct three-dimensional images, then, ergo, it follows that three-dimensional holograms reconstruct four-dimensional images.
A hologram is a metaphor. It is how you take n dimensions of information and you bring them down into n-1 dimensions. It's a way of relating the paradoxes that we find in how to make a leap from this concept to that concept.
The conceptual pigeonholes we use, words, to describe reality, are phenomena inside our head. They're not out there. And most of the time, this is a philosophical quibble. But when you get down to quantum physics, and this is one of the reasons that Bohm came up with the holographic idea, it starts to have real effects. And one of those is it's been discovered that if you take two subatomic particles like electrons, in certain instances, when you do something to one, it will always affect the other, no matter how far apart they are.
Well, how can this be? But what this tells us is that once matter is physically joined, even when it becomes separate, the energy is still there that's connecting it. And this is why it's important to me, because if we go back far enough in time, all the particles of matter of this entire universe that are expanding were all meshed together in a single particle about the size of a green pea, is what scientists tell us today, is what the computer models suggest. That if you could go into the universe today and take all the particles of matter and take out all the space in between and bring it together and compress it into a size of a single green pea, it means that you and me and every one of our listeners, we were all once part of that same particle that creates this whole universe today. And even though those particles are now separate and expanding, and the studies show that they are, energetically we're all still linked.
So an atom and its electron are multiversal objects. And that multiversal object is what the quantum mechanics is describing. Now, that means that the parallel universe aspect of reality as described by quantum theory must apply to objects of all sizes, humans, stars, galaxies, everything. And that's why we call it the parallel universe theory rather than just parallel electrons theory.
Because we ourselves are made of atoms after all.
We are, that's right. And the same theory that says that the atoms exist in more than one place in different universes says that we humans also exist in more than one place and in more than one state of mind and so forth in different universes.
And so what that means, talking about words, is that there is no separation between electrons. Furthermore, there's no separation between people.
Everything is interconnected, and the biggest secret of all, to me, is the extent to which individuality is an illusion.
Illusion comes from how our minds perceive.
My illusion comes from my mind. Your illusion comes from your mind. We do not need to search
We do not need to search anywhere else for the source of illusion. Wherever we search externally, we cannot find the source of illusion because your illusions come from within your mind.
The big thing we're talking about here is a new way of thinking about this thing we call the person, the self, the beingness, the I. And as we begin to modify what we mean by that, we could begin to see and touch upon this infinite realm that I'm speaking about.
Infinities are part of the boundary of your existence. That is, viewed from this perspective, everything can be divided to infinity.
If you've ever wondered why nuclear power is 1,000,000 times more powerful than chemical energy, it's because chemical energy results from the manipulation of atoms in a molecule. Nuclear energy results from the manipulation of nucleons in a nucleus. The super-unified scale, 1,000 million times smaller, is virtually infinite in its dynamism.
If you're seeking the infinite, what instruments do you have to seek the infinite? Only sense organs, isn't it? So through your sense organs, if you're seeking the infinite, it is like wanting to go to moon with a bullock cart. Isn't it so? That is the plight of humanity right now. With a limited perception, they're trying to grasp that which is beyond.
So we try to perceive at the ultimate level of reality, and we search for any kind of method. For example, new technology, atomic power, etc. But search as we might, we cannot perceive the ultimate level of reality using these mechanisms. The ultimate level of reality is fundamentally empty
we cannot find
and not observable using these scientific methods.
Science is involved in a perceptual enterprise, not primarily in gaining knowledge, though knowledge appears, but knowledge is a byproduct. And by understanding the thing, you can coherently, then our contact with it, as long as it is coherent, it shows that our understanding is correct. You see, we must distinguish between correct appearances and incorrect appearances or illusory.
Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This is our brains take information in and sometimes give it a form. It's not that the picture is out there, it's that we're getting data that we're turning into a picture according to our own belief systems and our own unconscious belief systems as well.
We know what is going on is that light comes in through the eyes, hits the back of the retina, triggers electrochemical impulses which travel down nerve fibers to the back of the brain, where the brain very cleverly, in about 1/10 of a second, puts it all together and says, this is what it looks like out there.
Well, you're creating your own reality tunnel. That doesn't mean you're creating reality. Out of reality, whatever that is, out of the infinite flux of energy, you're creating your own reality tunnel, and most people are unaware of it.
All matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration. That we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves.
So, who is in control? Huh? Are you? Am I? The guards outside? The warden in his office? Yeah? Who's in control? Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dr. Ethan Powell interviewing Dr. Theo Porter. Now, this will be a very simple test. Pass or fail, life or death. You ready, Jean? Now, you write on this paper what I have taken from you. What have you lost? Write it! Write it! Wrong! You never had control. You only thought you had it. An illusion, tabby bourgeois. And what do you control? For sure, huh? The volume in your stereo, the air conditioning in your car? What else? What else? All right. Another chance. You were nervous. Too much pressure. Try again. What have you lost? What did I take? Write it. Write it! You're a fool, Juha. Do you think you were free? Where were you going at 2 o'clock today? Into the gym, right? In the morning, your wake-up call. In the middle of the night, when you wake up sweating with your heart pounding. What is it that has you all tied up, Juha? Tied up in little knots? Is it ambition? Yeah. You're no mystery to me, boy. I used to be you. Okay. One last chance. You think I won't do it? That's one psychiatrist less to the world. I'm already deep in the pit, so what can they do to me? Last try. Get it right. What have you lost? What did I take from you? Write it. Congratulations. You're a student after all. And you've lost nothing but your illusions and a little bit of skin.
He showed him his true battlefield, where each man must fight alone. He must learn to see with the same eye a mound of earth and a heap of gold, a cow and a sage. There's another intelligence beyond the mind.
I want to finish this.
Finish what?
Telling you what I know.
What makes you think what you know is any different than what other people know?
I had different teachers.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
He who thinks he can kill, and he who thinks he can be killed, are both mistaken. I am time grown old. I am the trickster's hoax. No weapon can pierce the life that is in you. No fire can burn it.
What's your poem about?
It's about you.
Me?
Yes. It's the story of your race. How your ancestors were born, how they grew up, how a vast war arose. It's the poetical history of mankind. If you listen carefully, at the end, you'll be someone else.
The Bhagavad Gita illustrates the infinite scope of the Vedas. That is to say, Veda is Nitya. It's been there forever. It is Ajam and Avyayam. That is, it never had a beginning and it doesn't decrease with time. And one who has imbibed the spirit of this tremendous eternity, what kind of death can come to him? Nor indeed, what kind of harm can such a person cause to others?
If someone from the West would be looking for the holiness of the Bhagavad Gita, where should he look?
Whenever you hear the whispering of a brook, there is the entrance to divinity.
The words are sung on rhyme and rhythm.
Examples of these mnemonic devices, these memory learning devices, are everywhere. But built into the Sanskrit language of the Vedas themselves is a meter, a rhythm so precise that you know exactly if you've made a mistake or not.
Oral tradition, the poets themselves, may have carved a monument that withstands the ages better than rock. It is lost when it's written down, for it goes by the ear, by the rhythm of the heart.
Within the Vedas and the Mahabharata, scholars have now found surprising corroboration for the extremely ancient date at which these texts were composed.
The evidence is found in how Vedas and Mahabharata make mention of the stars and the skies.
It so turns out that the ritual of the Vedic people expressed astronomical knowledge. Once you analyze this astronomical knowledge, you realize that there was a very vibrant and acute tradition of observation of the skies.
Throughout millennia, ancient India was keenly aware of an astronomical phenomenon called precession. Most of us now are not familiar with.
Precession is not so difficult to explain, however. You remember this, the spinning top. Imagine this is the Earth, spins on its axis, gives us the night and the day. But as it does, there's this counter-rotation, or wobble.
One wobble of the axis takes more than 26,000 years to go round. Standing on Earth, it makes the stars and constellations seem to travel through the skies. Appearing from behind the rising sun, they change in periods of little over 2,000 years. We know them as Pisces, Aries, Taurus.
The computer shows us the skies of the past.
With mention of positions of planets, constellations and conjunctions, scientists can now precisely calculate when they were described.
In Mahabharata, there are many astronomy observations. Okay, so one astronomy observation that I came across 15 years ago. What it says, and no one disagrees on the translation. Okay, it says Arundhati, okay, is walking ahead of Vasishtha. So let's understand who is Arundhati Vasishtha. So are you familiar with the panhandle of the Ursa Major? So you have the pan, or you can say the kite and the tail, right? Right. So the pan, and then the handle. Handle has got 3 stars. The middle star is called Vasishtha. This is the North Pole in 5561 BC. And all the stars, including frankly Vega and Polaris, they are going to, so Polaris will go like this. around this North Pole. Vega would go like this around this North Pole. And these two, they're also going to go in a circle around this. Now look at this. So this is the direction, that's when they go. This is the position of Arundhati, this is the position of Vasishtha. Before, in 2080, which is now, you see Vasishtha going ahead and Arundhati following. Now, if you follow this star of Arundhati and this star of Vasishtha with respect to this as the center point, center of the circle, you will notice that it will appear, not much difference, but it will appear that Arundhati is going ahead of Vasishtha. And this particular phenomenon lasted for approximately 6,500 years. And so, assuming we can trust the observation in Mahabharata, that Arundhati was walking ahead of Vasishtha, this is the 6,500 years time period that we want to call the epoch of Arundhati, which is the probable time, plausible time, where we should search for the year of Mahabharata war.
That one work can contain both so much wisdom and entertainment after several millennia is mind-boggling and without comparison. If Homer's Iliad also contained the New Testament and was as popular today as it had been 2,000 years ago, even this would not compare with the poem attributed to Vyasa. By comparison, Shakespeare himself seems like a lightweight, and indeed all literary fame pales.
Arjuna is the commander-in-chief of the Pandavas' army, with Krishna as his charioteer. And they go in to begin the war, and suddenly Arjuna loses confidence in everything that he's about to do. And he falls at Krishna's feet and says, I cannot fight.
Krishna, my legs grow weak. My mouth is dry, my body trembles. My bow slips from my hand. Uncle, cousins, nephews, and Drona, my teacher, they are all there. I can't bring death to my own family.
And it is then that Krishna turns to him and tells him words that become the Bhagavad Gita, the song of Krishna.
The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's advice to war leader Arjuna on the eve of battle, is not only the central part of the epic, it is the very core of Indian thought, and as sacred to Hindus as the New Testament is to Christians.
Krishna led Arjuna through the tangled forest of illusion, through all the fibers of his spirit. He showed him the deepest movements of his being, and his true battlefield, where you need neither warriors nor arrows, where each man must fight alone. He taught him how the world unfolds. He spoke for a long time, very long time, between the two armies preparing to destroy themselves.
What is Krishna doing?
He's telling Arjuna that victory and defeat are the same. He's urging him to act, but not to reflect on the fruit of the act. He says to him, seek detachment. Fight without desire.
You say, forget desire, seek detachment. Yet you urge me to battle, to massacre. Your words are ambiguous. I am confused.
Krishna tells him, don't withdraw into solitude. Renunciation is not enough. You must act. Yet action mustn't dominate you.
In the heart of action, you must remain free from all attachment. You must learn to see with the same eye a mound of earth and a heap of gold, a cow and a sage, a dog and the man who eats the dog. There's another intelligence beyond the mind.
Dharma transcends charity, doing good in this world. It's acting for the soul, irrespective of what this world demands.
Everything in the Western mind says
if there's fate, there isn't free will. If there's free will, there can't be such a thing as fate or destiny. And the Mahabharata cuts that away and puts one in front of something very, very different, which is that freedom exists in a quite different way, and that one sees that the great freedom for each character is either to become himself or not to become himself.
It is with this detachment that Arjuna can sound the horn, even for the horrors of the coming war. The Pandavas win eventually, but it is a victory which is to deeply trouble them.
Every rule is broken, every single value is destroyed. There is no difference left between the people who are good and the people who are evil. There's no difference left between who is the enemy and who is not.
No one can calm the sense of wrongfulness in the mind of Yudhishthira, now king. Ultimately, the Pandavas decide it's time for them to leave this world too, and they embark upon the great journey, walking into the cold north towards heaven. One by one, they fall into the abyss and perish. Until Yudhishthira is left alone with a dog that has followed him faithfully all the way.
Who has come as far as this? Who are you?
I am Yudhishthira. I am looking for the gate of paradise.
You have proved yourself to be the best of kings. Leave this dog and enter.
I can't leave this dog.
Why?
He's followed me ever since I left the city.
Paradise isn't open to dogs. Leave this dog.
Abandon a creature who loves me, who's alone and defenseless. I can't.
It is the right path.
Enter.
The dog is his father, the god Dharma, here to test his virtue. Another test awaits in heaven, where Yudhishthira finds his enemies, the Kaurava, who come to mock him. His brothers are in hell, where Yudhishthira then chooses to be as well.
I will stay here forever with my family.
But it is his last test, his final illusion.
Now get up.
You've known neither paradise nor hell. Here, there is no happiness, no punishment, no family, no enemies. Rise in tranquility. Here, words end like thought. This was your last illusion.
Which ends the Mahabharata.
How? He is the one.
Shivaya.
ऋषिकेशम् पराशरात्मजम् वन्दे शुकतातम् तपोनिधिम् व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः अविकाराय शुद्धाय नित्याय परमात्मने सदैकरूपरूपाय विष्णवे सर्वजिष्णवे यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण जन्म संसारबन्धनात् विमुच्यते नमस्तस्मै विष्णवे प्रभविष्णवे ॐ नमो विष्णवे प्रभविष्णवे श्रीवैशम्पायन उवाच
Sham